Hello, everybody, and welcome to Crazy Uncle Rants. I am your host, the Crazy Uncle, and I'd like to introduce my nephew. Say hi, nephew.
What up, guys?
I thought you were going to say hi, nephew. Anyway, this is going to be the first episode of Crazy Uncle Rants. I have my list of things to go over, and it's going to be a Gen X like myself. Actually, I was born at the very end of Generation X. And what's your generation again?
I think I'm Gen Z.
You think
I'm just before Gen Alpha. I know that.
He thinks. He thinks.
Gee, thanks.
Well, usually you should know. The only confusion with me is I'm like 1 year before that changes. So, anyways, going to be going into some politics. We're going to be going into some different phrases. I'm going to be bouncing things off my nephew here to make sure he knows what he needs to know for life. And those of you who are listening, this is to help you out if you're young like my nephew here, or if you need something to remind those folks that are my age, hey, this is just how the world works. And also, maybe you just learned something. And don't forget that anything else that you want to put in, if you want to see us cover something later, down to the comment section down there. That's the Meat Gazer box. I saw you looking, you freaks. All right. First things first, and I'm just going to go in order, folks. I just threw these down here. I got maybe about 8 or 10 of them, and we're going to just hit them. So, first things first, you know the new Secretary of Defense, right? Pete something or other.
Buttigieg?
I don't know if it's that. I don't know. Hacker staff. Hacky sack or whatever the fuck his name is. I don't know. I don't give a shit. Honestly, the way I got here is they say the new Secretary of Defense wants the military to be, back to the way it was. He wants it to bring it back to actually being a military. Now, those folks out there, you should know that my nephew here is actually going to be joining the reserves to be
A combat medic.
Doc. Well, he doesn't have Doc yet. He's got to earn Doc, but he wants to be Doc. And if you guys don't understand Doc, by all means, look up the Chubby Sparky, and he did a whole video on that. And I'm obviously mispronouncing it, but honestly, I don't do shout-outs just yet. Not unless he pays me. Anyways, I bring this up because old Petey there says he wants to fix the military. But do you know how you fix things, an organization like that?
Kind of drawing a blank here.
Connor, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. That's the reason we're doing this. By the way, speak up so the mic can get you.
Yeah.
Anyways, you gotta not just fix things from the bottom up, which it seems like Pete, I don't know, Buffalo, Snuffleupagus, whatever the fuck his name is there, I forget. He wants to fix things from the bottom up by ending DEI and things like that, and good luck to him. I hope he succeeds on that. Okay, that's something when you go in, you're going to see a whole lot less of than when I was in. I retired, folks. I'm out. That's why the freaking beard. It's also maple syrup season. I do this every season. Mainly just to keep the cold wind off my face while I'm outside burning. That being said, I did 20 years, so I was in there. I saw this stuff come up, and I seen a lot of guys get out because of that crap. And also because of the clot shot, but we're not going to go in the clot shot just yet. Now, you got to fix things from the bottom up and the top down at the same time. You can't do one and then the other. It doesn't work that way, because all you're going to do is, if you're say you're attacking somebody, you got your group, you're attacking from this side, and these guys know they're next. They're going to reinforce, and they're going to get ready so they can defend against what. No, you got to hit both sides at the same time. You got to double dong that shit, one from one end, one from the other. High five each other. High five on over their back as you're tearing them apart. That's just the way it is. Jesus and yes, the double entendres are going to be there, because I was infantry, ladies and gentlemen. And guess what? Us infantry guys have a very sick and a very dark sense of humor.
Really, Captain?
Yeah, don't call me Captain. I was an NCO. I work for a living. And don't worry, guys. And by the way, in the comment section, don't speak any other language except the 3 languages I speak. English, bad English, and infantry. That's what we got. So, what I mean by this, the top down, is he's not going after West Point. He's not going after Annapolis. He's not going after whatever the hell the Air Force does. He's not.
He's going after everybody coming in to try and set a new precedent, right?
More or less. He's trying to make it easier for people to train the right way. But the problem is, I have only seen maybe 2 West Pointers that were worth the shit. When you get in, you're going to see that. You're going to be, why does he think this way? Because they're college students. They're not soldiers. And unfortunately, you're just going to have to deal with it. And folks out there, if you haven't been in, that's exactly what you got to deal with, is the fact that these lieutenants are college students. And most of them, like Terrence Pop says, that's all they do is they wear out their knee pads so they can get promoted. And it's horrible. Laugh all you want, I don't give a shit. But it is what it is, folks. I've seen many a lieutenant colonel who seriously have knee problems because of that, and they walk funny because maybe something's a little blown out as they walk. But that's how they got promoted. And
that's some very interesting,
colorful
choice.
language.
That's colorful to say the least.
Yes. I'm actually trying to bring that back. Us old guys, Generation X, we used to use stuff like that. Colorful was one of it. And sporting. Things were sporting. Speaking of sporting, my mouth is getting dry, so I'm going to pop a top here. And I just missed. But here's everybody out there. Here's to your health, and I need to wet my whistle. So, the one issue that we have with this is if they want to actually fix the service, no joke, fix everything, they got to start from the top down and the bottom up. Now, Petey there, he shows that he actually seems to give a shit. He's actually a combat veteran, which is great. There's an issue there. Is he was still just an officer. He was not enlisted too. You're going to see it's a totally different mentality. Now, I can't tell you exactly how it's going to be. I can just prep you for what you're going to face in basic training. By the way, we have to talk later on that. But we can actually do a whole video on get ready for basic training. It's actually not as difficult as people think. And we'll talk about the whole diet thing here they got you on too.
That's some bullshit, man.
No, it's not some bullshit because you don't want to be overweight because you're going to end up in my old battalion in the chubby camp. And they'll actually run you 5 times a day. No joke. They'll bring you across the street to the track and you're just going to run. And you do not want to do that in the South Carolina heat if you're not used to it.
I don't know where I'm going.
I don't know yet. If you're... It's more often than not, that's where you're going. You're either that or Fort Leonard Wood, also known as Fort Lost in the Woods. Even though there's no woods anywhere near that place. It's in the middle of God's nowhere. But anyway, yeah, he's fixing from the bottom up. Sure, he got rid of a couple of generals. Sure, he needs to fix the fundamentals. And if you're out there, Petey, just listen up close. You go to those freaking universities and you say, guess what? You are the last ones we're accepting as far as high school students or college students. Your asses are going into the enlisted ranks, you reach the rank of NCO, and then you come back to us. Because then you have learned your basics, you've learned leadership, because I know I had to learn. And I guarantee if I put you as a team leader, you'd fuck it up too. Because you know what? Everybody fucks it up. I have known nobody who gets it right the first time. And that's normal. You get your licks. You end up, in my case, I had to face off against 3 other guys because I was in my team and they thought I was doing something wrong. And instead of telling me I was doing something wrong, they decided to get in my face about it. Of course, when they're about as big as this birch beer, yeah, it's not so hard to shove one down to his back. Regardless, when they finally opened their fucking mouths and talked to me, it was different. You got to learn from it. And everybody out there has to learn from their mistakes. Now, if they go and they say, look, if you're an NCO and then you're in to go be an officer, they send you to these colleges. It's still just a college, folks. It's nothing else and some of the gaudiest crap I've ever seen. If you don't believe me, I dare you to go there. You know they have a football field you can't walk across?
Oh, yeah, up at West Point?
Yeah. No kidding. Our guys were literally just walking across from PT and some, I don't know, I wasn't even there. They said it was some officer in a PT uniform. You can't walk across here. So they said, screw you, and they marched back and forth, making sure they're doing a bunch of about faces to tear it up. You don't do that to combat veterans.
That's fucked up, man.
You know, it's... But the thing is, I've seen over at the Air Force Academy, their shit's gaudy as fuck. I've never been to Annapolis, so I can't say that, but I'm pretty sure...
Is that Navy?
Yeah.
I know somebody who's going down there. I can talk to him.
Well, that's beyond the scope of what we're doing now. I'm just saying, you want to fix it, you got to fix the leadership, and you got to fix the guys coming in like yourself. Allow the NCOs to do their damn job. You know how many times I got in trouble for doing my job, doing the right thing?
Probably too many because they're a bunch of arrogant assholes.
Well, I'll give you one. Wasn't even an officer. This was a acting first sergeant. When I was getting ready for SFAS, Special Forces Assessment and Selection, for those of you who don't know. Yes, I tried out for Special Forces, and that was a 28-day fuck you is what they gave me. Anyway, I got a football. You got to train. I went out to train, and because my acting first sergeant, who was the most racist son of a bitch I've ever known in my life, which was kind of weird, his predecessor was one of the coolest guys ever, and they both had the same complexion. Whatever. The cool one, if he's watching, percolate, Sergeant Major. That was his thing. Anyways, but the one that took over for him now was there. He called me an embarrassment to Bravo Company because I was actually training myself, and then put me on extra duty for 2 days straight.
For doing the thing? Oh, good Lord Jesus.
I know. And that's one of the fun things about... how do I put this? Overseas units don't believe they're actually part of the Army. And I'm sure it's the same way with the Marines. I'm sure it's the same way with the Navy and everything like that. But there's mentalities there that would drive you absolutely crazy. That's actually... I'm going to end this section letting you in on a little secret. The mentality of each of the main 4 branches that I'm going to go over. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. The Army, through the enlisted ranks, it's you take care of your men because they take care of you. You expect things from your men, but you will never take. And by the way, any NCOs listening, any young NCOs, you better listen to that last part. You may expect things, but you never take, and you always lead from the front. As far as infantry goes in the Army, we are quiet professionals. We are literally, let's go on patrol. Let's go be nice and quiet. Let's go off into the woods. Let's be quiet, silent, and deadly like the most poisonous fart in the world. Because when we find you, we're going to fuck you up. And we're just going to pop out of nowhere. Before you even realize what's going on, we're going to flank you. Marines, their mentality, at least in combat, is there's a machine gun, let's run at it. And, casualties be damned. Okay, I'm going to get in later the actual... where this crosses over into the Army, and that's one of the reasons what I'm talking about. And they treat their guys really shitty, especially recruiters. Did I tell you what happened with the Marines recruiters? Now, unless it's changed, which I doubt, a Marine recruiter, if they do not meet their quota, they will get counseled. If they miss their quota a second time, they get paperwork done, and they're done permanently. Their career's over. I kind of feel bad for them. It's no wonder they kept poaching my guys. And by the way, poaching is very much illegal, and that's when you get somebody who has already signed their paperwork and you say, oh, I'm going to pull you into this branch of service. They did it all the time, and they didn't really care. The Navy is what drives everybody nuts, is everything is about the officers on there. And the problem is, because everything's about the officers and not about the men, not soldiers, but men, the officers, even when they're out on the town, and I've seen this happen, they act like their shit don't stink. If anything, when they fart, it's rainbows, unicorns, and sweet-smelling Fruit Loops for all I know. I'm not even kidding. They would go up, push you away from your date to go and dance with her, and still think they're in the right, because I'm an officer and I'm master and commander before God. Maybe on your boat, sir, but right here, you're about to get your ass whooped. And that's the thing. I actually served with a guy who was prior service Navy. He said that's exact. Everywhere he went with the Navy, it's the same thing. You serve the officers, and that's it. In the Army, it's different. Now, as far as the Air Force, it's a, hey, I'll do it later. That's about it. We call it the Chair Force for a reason. You heard me tell you about the whole...
Yeah.
When I was deployed, folks, no kidding, the Air Force would not even get off their plane until we had combat housing units, which were small little trailers, hooked up with not only power, but the AC and the internet. Until we had all those, they wouldn't even leave their birds. I'm like, what the ever-loving fuck? The only ones that were down on the ground at that point was a couple of ground crews that came in with us, and they never left the flight line. If they offloaded something, we had to go and get it. They never delivered it.
Fucking bunch of pussies.
Oh, they'll claim that their basic training is so hard. Yeah, 10 push-ups, and then they walk from air-conditioned building to air-conditioned building. And the thing is, they'll still have a grin on their face. But the thing is, there's some more in the mentalities there. We're going to get to in a second. I just realized by the counter, we've been going for 16 minutes here since we started. So,